Hello students, very good morning to all. Hope you are doing well. So this is our third video lecture of this chapter, motion and time. So previously students, we have seen many things. We have seen the concept of speed, how to find out the speed, okay, about the units of speed. Then we have discussed about the distance time graph, okay. If the distance and time, you can say plottings are there, you can say, what can we say, that distance and time, one table is there where datas are there. So by using that data, how we can just plot a graph, okay, about uniform motion, about non-uniform motion. So all the things students we have already read. Now today we are going to discuss the last portion of the chapter, that we call that measurement of time. This is also very important, how to measure time, okay. We call it as measurement of time, okay. Now just let us start with the introduction portion, that if someone asks you that what is the time, so you immediately look at the wall clock or wristwatch but have you ever wondered how our ancestors read the time in the absence of these gadgets? Now if you ask me that sir, what is the time, so I just this is the wristwatch I am wearing, so I just focus on the wristwatch and I am telling you that it's 9:20 a.m. in the morning, okay. So I can easily find out, but students, in ancient days there was, you can say, no such devices are available. So in ancient people, how they just find out the time, or which method they have used to measure the time? So let us discuss that measuring the length of the shadow. So first method they have used, that is the measuring the length of the shadow. So our ancestors could tell the approximate time of the day by just looking at the shadows. Some old methods of time measurements are, so there are very old methods are there, few old methods are there which are based on this shadow, okay. So first thing is that the sundial, okay. Many of you have heard, many of you have seen in the Discovery channels that what is sundial. You can see here the picture, this is the type of sundial. The sundial used long ago was based on the above fact. It is used to work on the principle that as the position of the sun in the sky changes, so did the position and length of the shadow of an object. So when the position of the sun will change in the sky, okay, at an interval of time, so definitely the position of the shadow will change. You can see here just a dialer is there, and 1 2 3 in Roman language 1 to 12 it is written, and this portion is there, the one up portion is there, and for this portion the shadow will falls in these numbers, and by seeing the shadow we can easily find out that what time the day is it, okay. Now you might have seen that Jantar Mantar in Delhi, okay, it has a huge sundial. So if you have ever gone to Delhi in Jantar Mantar, then you will find out that one very huge sundial is there, okay, by Maharaja Jai Singh II of Jaipur. The sundial can also be seen at Jaipur, Varanasi and Mathura, okay. So in these places the sundial is there, okay. So the largest sundial in Jaipur can measure the time of an accuracy of 2 seconds. So you can find out, we can even count a accuracy of 2 seconds, okay. Okay, so this is one kind of thing which which our ancestors can use. Nowadays we are not using these kind of things. Secondly, sand clock. Now sand clock you have seen in many movies, okay. In many movies or in many places, many serials, you have seen this sand clock. So this kind of thing is there. A jar is there like this, okay. You can just find out a jar. This kind of jar is there, okay, you can see, and sand is there, okay. So a sand clock was used by early Romans. It works on the principle of sand trickling down on a fixed period of time. This fixed time was the unit each which time was measured them. So you can compare this sand clock as a stopwatch, okay. In the stopwatch, what we are doing, we just count some interval of time. This sand watch or sand clock does the same thing. It can also measure some interval of time, okay. Okay, clear? Next thing is that, just have a look, that events occurring at a regular interval of time. In our ancient days, where these things also not there. Okay, very early period. Then which things are regular or which things are even, so we just follow these things. Let's example that our ancestor noticed that many events in nature repeated themselves after a fixed interval of time. So these events helps them to measure the time. For example, the time between one sunrise and the next was called one day. Definitely we can call one day one sunrise and the next. Okay, a month was measured from one new moon to the next. Definitely, similarly, a year was measured at the time taken by the earth to complete one evolution around the sun. Okay, so by seeing these things, our ancestors can measure the time interval or time period. Okay, so this is one kind of things. This type from here question definitely may come in your examination. So just read as a story. Okay. Now the most important part of this term is the simple pendulum. Okay, so this is the most important part of this portion, and definitely question will come from this portion. Okay, so let us discuss what simple pendulum is, why we call it as simple pendulum, what are the characteristics, how we can measure time by using the simple pendulum. All these things let us discuss one by one. Okay, so have you ever wondered that how do clocks work? The working of clocks uses some, you can say, periodic motion. Definitely periodic motion means what? Which repeats itself after a certain interval of time. We call it as periodic motion. Okay. One of the well-known periodic motion is that of a simple pendulum. Okay. So the motion of a simple pendulum is one kind of periodic motion. Okay. So basically a simple pendulum consists of a weight like a metallic ball or a piece of stone tied to a string. Okay, so basically a string should be there and a metallic ball should be there, this kind of thing. Okay, the other end of the string is tied to rigid support. So basically this other end will fixed or tied to a rigid support, and the metallic ball is called the bob of the pendulum. So basically this metallic ball we call it as bob of the pendulum. Okay, this thing we call it as bob of the pendulum. So basically this is the very basic structure of a simple pendulum. Okay, what are the things in simple pendulum? Basically it consists of weight like a metallic ball or a piece of stone which is tied on a string, and the other portion of the string is fixed. Okay, so this kind of arrangement, this kind of structure we call it as simple pendulum. So let us find out in details what simple pendulum is. Now you can see here, you are much more familiar with the picture. You can see this is the most common or most familiar picture. Just have a look. This picture. Now if you have giant wall clock, okay, in ancient days people use for if you go for in the, you can say 30 to 40 years back, then you will find out some giant clock, and at the bottom portion of the giant clock you will find this kind of things are there. Okay, so the given figure shows the pendulum where the pendulum is at rest. So this position we call it as rest position. Okay, this O position we call it as rest position. It is its mean position. It is also called as mean position. When the bob of the pendulum is pushed after pulling it slightly to one side, it begins to move to and fro about its mean position. So this motion is an example of oscillatory motion. So if we just move the pendulum, if we just push the pendulum like this, and if we just raise it, then what will happen? It will go and come. That means to and fro motion will be there. So this type of motion we call it as oscillatory motion. The pendulum is said to have complete one oscillation when its bob, starting from its mean position O, moves from A to B and back to O. That means starting from O, it will go to A, then it will go to B, and then it will come to O. Okay, so this complete thing, then first it will start from O, it will go to A, then it will go to B, and it will come to O. Okay, so starting from this and this, So this complete thing we call it as one complete rotation. So starting from O, it will go to A, then it will go to B, and it will comes to O. Okay, this thing we call it as complete oscillation or one full oscillation. The time taken by a pendulum for one complete oscillation is known as time period. Definitely, if you can measure the time to one complete oscillation, then this time will give you the time period. The standard unit of time is second. You have known in the SI unit also the standard unit of time is second. Okay. So these are few things which you have to know about simple pendulum. Okay. Now let us discuss few more things. Actually few activities are there. So let us discuss the activities. What are the activities? So first of all, there is an activity 10.2. This activity tells that make a pendulum by hanging a piece of stone from a thread about 1 meter in length. So what you have to do, students, you have to take a thread which is 1 meter of length and you just tie a stone. Okay, a stone you just tied. Clear? Now switch off the fans it nearby and let the bob of the pendulum come to rest as its mean position. So this is its mean position O. Okay. Now mark the mean position of the bob on the wall behind it. You can mark it. Now to measure the time period of the pendulum, you will require a stopwatch. Now gently hold the bob and move it slightly to one side. If I just hold the bob like this and if I move it one side, then what will happen? It will go in this side and then again it will come here and it will go this side. So this position we can call it A and this position we can call it B. So it will go like this. That means again the oscillatory motion will act. Okay. Now what you have to do, students, you have to repeat this activity for 5 times and record your observations in table 10.5. Okay. You may get a slight of difference in reading. So let me show you what is table 10.5, because in 10.5 you will record your observation. This activity, students, you can easily do at your home. Okay, you need just a thread and you can say stone. Okay, these are the things that you need. Okay, so students, now if we want to measure the time period of a pendulum, so this is the table that you have to follow. Okay. So basically what this table tells, let us discuss. So basically in this table, table 10.5, you want to see serial numbers are given and time taken for 20 oscillations. So you measure the time taken for 20 oscillations. You will get 40 seconds. So if 40 seconds is the time for 20 oscillations, then time period should be 40 divided by 20, that means 2 seconds. Okay. So we will find out the time period by using this method or technique. Now this principle of the pendulum is used to make a pendulum clock. Okay. Here the oscillation of the pendulum controls the movement of the hands of the clock. Okay. Now a mechanical wristwatch has a balance wheel for the same purpose. Okay. So mechanical wristwatch also has a balanced wheel for the same purpose. But nowadays most of the clocks or watches have an electric circuit with one or more cells. So in this type of wristwatches also have electric circuit, more than one cells. These calls are called quartz clock. Okay. Now these watches have crystals of a substance called quartz. Okay. Now these crystals vibrate very fast at a very precise rate. A quartz clock is much more accurate than a pendulum clock. So definitely a quartz clock has some electric cells, so it is very much accurate than the pendulum clock. Okay. So this is the basic thing of, you can say, measuring of time period. And so nowadays basically we use the quartz clock, and one more information is there that atomic clocks are the most, you can say, accurate time measurement in atomic clocks is based on vibration of atoms. Okay. So this is the higher concept, you will read in higher classes about atomic you can say particles. Okay. Okay, so basically nowadays we are not using these you can say hanging wall clocks or this kind of clocks. We are using some quartz clock or like this kind of watches. I hope many of you are using this kind of watches. So we just prefer this kind of watches because an electric circuit is there in this kind of watches and it needs some battery. Okay. Okay, so students, with this we have completed the chapter. So this is our third and last part. I hope you just liked the video, you have understood the chapter. So we will meet our next video with a new chapter. So for this, that's all for today's lecture. Okay, thank you all.